Aid workers say hundreds of Rohingya Muslims from Myanmar are crossing the border into Bangladesh to escape the escalating violence against them in the country's Rakhine state.
We are observing the situation currently, and we are also coordinating with the law enforcing agencies and local administration and waiting for their direction and decisions. Just we are observing the situation currently.
Well, officials from the International Organization for Migration say more than 500 people have entered camps on the Bangladeshi side of the border. The UN agencies are also witnessing an influx of Rohingya refugees. Northern Rakhine has been under a complete military lockdown following attacks on police border posts last month. Since then, security forces have killed over 100 people in the area. The displaced refugees have been recounting horrific tales of persecution in their homeland.
The military killed my husband, set fire to our house, so as we did not get any help to rescue us, we fled our land and have come here.
As we could not tolerate their tortures, we as a group crossed the river by boat at night. 4 o'clock, we entered Bangladesh.
According to a UN estimate, some 30,000 Muslims have been displaced in the latest clampdown by the Myanmar army. Rohingya Muslims are subject to intensive discrimination despite having lived in Myanmar for centuries. Hundreds of Rohingyas have been killed and thousands displaced at the hands of Myanmar's security forces and Buddhist extremists since 2012. Well, to discuss this further, we're now going to cross over to Manchester and speak to Jahangir Mohammed. He's the Director of Centre for Muslims Affairs. Many thanks for joining us here on Press TV, Mr. Mohammed. Now, as far as the condition of the Rohingyas goes in Myanmar, the situation seems to be going from bad to worse. And a lot of this influx of refugees has to do with the fact that the governments and the international communities have not put their plight on top of their agendas.
Well, that's right. I mean, since 2012, this latest wave of violence and terrorism directed at the Rohingya Muslims has been carrying on, and the Buddhist extremists have continued trying to purge them from their country to create their pure Buddhist state, and nobody has done anything. So they've continuously got worse and worse. And the pictures that we now see in the last few days coming out of there, with villages being burnt, the torture being taken place, people's bodies being cut open, and all kinds of rape of women, and these images are available to politicians, to aid agencies. So it's got gradually worse, and the situation is now that the Rohingya are being cleansed from Myanmar, and nothing is being done, neither by the international agencies. They're not demanding access, they're not demanding media access or humanitarian access or investigations. They're not pressing for charges against those who commit these crimes. And of course, Muslim nations are not doing a great deal either, apart from taking in refugees. So this is a situation that can only get worse and worse, and if nothing is done, these people will be exterminated from Myanmar. This is a genocide taking place right in front of our eyes. And if the type of things that are happening to the Rohingya by the military and the Buddhist extremists were taking place against any other community in the world and committed by Muslims, there would be outrage. But we see very limited outrage. These would be pictures that would be the first item on Western international news agencies. And yet we don't even hardly see these images on the main news channels here. It's absolutely dreadful, and the world needs to react. The Muslim world, the Muslim community needs to do something about this. They need to send a very clear message to the Buddhist extremists and the regime in Myanmar that unless they stop this, that they will be isolated in that part of the world and by the Muslim community.
All right, unfortunately, we have run out of time. Wish we could discuss this further. That was Jahangir Mohammed, Director of Centre for Muslims Affairs, joining us via Skype from Manchester. Mr. Mohammed, it's always great having you with us here on Press TV.